BassBlaster.
What's up, y'all? Jesse Wiggins here. Got here my favorite setup for shaky head. This is the one I throw pretty much year round. I really don't change it up much on my shaky head setup. You know, we're here on Lake of the Ozarks. This is springtime here. Fish are spawning, so this is my setup for spawning. This is a 3/16 shaky head, homemade shaky head with a jackal flick shake. This is actually the 6.8 version of the flick shake, but I bit it down to about 5 inches, about the size of a stick worm. But it's got that bent end, of course, like the flick shake does, gives it just that little bit of action. The rod I throw it on is the 7-1 medium heavy Legend Elite spinning rod from St. Croix, and it's an awesome shaky head rod. 7-1, you know, short enough to skip, but it's also got enough power, you know, using, you know, bigger line or, you know, getting a good hook set. The reel is Quantum Smoke Size 30 spinning reel, and then I got 30-pound Smackdown high vis braid as my main line, and then my leader is a 12-pound Cigar and VizX. So I use a 12-pound on a shaky head a lot in shallow or dirtier water, and really anytime when I'm going to be setting the hook hard. And these fish are spawning here, so anytime, you know, you get around dock cables, anything, so I want that 12-pound line on here. But this is the setup here. I use this all the time. The main setup, or the main way to fish it, I would, you know, this time of year around the spawn, is you're just making cast to targets where you think fish may be spawning. So like here on this lake, it's dock cables, dock corners, and walkways. So I'll make a cast to each, and then I'll shake it a couple times, and I reel it in, move on to the next one. And the fish here, I'm not seeing them. Like, they're on bed, but you can't see them. They're spawning in a little deeper water. And then any other time, whether it be brush piles or, you know, fishing deeper docks, I throw it out there, let it hit the bottom, and you're shaking it on a slack line. And it's the same way even up shallow too. You want to make sure that you want that tail to move on that worm, but you don't want the head to move on the bottom. And shaking it on a slack line is the key to being successful with a shaky head. But that's it. That's my setup. I've talked about it a bunch, but everybody knows it's the setup that I use for a shaky head, and it catches. A shaky head is definitely a tool, or you know, a lure I use year round. The only changes I do make, if I was to be fishing super clear water, like maybe Table Rock, or, you know, where the water is really, really clear, I will go down to like a 8-pound leader. I never go smaller than 8. I'll definitely back the drag off a little bit, and sometimes I'll go to even an 1/8 ounce. This is a 3/16, which is pretty much all I use, but I'll go down to an 1/8 ounce as well sometimes. But as far as, you know, fishing it, I fish it the exact same way. Just go to a little bit lighter setups for that really, really clean water. But other than that, this is it all year long. Sometimes I'll put just the 5.8 flick shake on here. It's just a skinnier worm. A lot of times supposed spawn, that's what I like, but if it's, especially in cleaner water. But all in all, that setup right there is going to get you bit year round. So even after the spawn, a shaky head's still a killer post spawn. You know, they spawn a lot on these docks and stuff. If a lake has docks, they definitely spawn around them. They'll move out towards the end of the docks, and then you can get on docks that's not as deep, and like maybe 10-15 foot docks, some that have brush under them, all kind of stuff like that. And then also post spawn, they're going to move to the first point coming out of the pocket. So that's another time a shaky head, you know, a lot of people throw crankbaits and, you know, top waters and all kind of stuff, but the shaky head is definitely going to get you a few more bites. After that topwater bite dies or that crankbait bite dies, you want to have a shaky head on your deck. That retrieve, when the fish get deeper like that post spawn, it's not going to be one of those where you throw it out there, shake it once and reel it in. It's going to be one of them where you throw it out there, let it go to the bottom, and you're just a steady good retrieve back. Not reeling it. You're always wanting your bait to be on the bottom, but you're shaking the slack in your line, wanting that bait to just barely be quivering down there. And like I said, the slower the better. The slower you can work it, you know, definitely more bites you're going to get. And it's just pretty much you're wanting to keep that bait in the strike zone as long as possible, and giving every fish in the school or every fish on the point a chance to look at it and bite it. And you're definitely going to get a few bites.
Is it possible to overwork a shaky head?
Absolutely. I see people get it all the time, and they're throw it out there, and it's not even hitting the bottom. You know, actually, Haley, she struggles with that some too. I'll be getting some bites, and she's not. And I'm like, Haley, you got to let it be on the bottom. So definitely keep the shaky head on the bottom. That is key, to make sure it's on the bottom, and you will get bites.